Hello, I wanted to take just a few moments to introduce myself. I think this is a great way for you to get to know me a little bit better, and then hopefully we'll feel a bit more connected as we work through this course with each other. So my name is Dr. Sandra Beam. I am currently an associate professor of education at Shawnee State University in Ohio. I'm going to go ahead and go over my educational background and my degrees and where I've received those. It all began with a Bachelor's of Science in Early Childhood Education, and I did this through a partnership program between Cincinnati Christian University and the College of Mount St. Joseph, which is also located in Cincinnati. This was an inclusive degree, meaning that I did receive some experience on how to work with differentiated learners, but the focus of my degree was on early childhood and preschool through grade 3 students. Then I went on and received a master's of education in reading, and that was at Xavier University, also in Cincinnati, Ohio. I really enjoyed that program. I was in the classroom teaching at that time and just learned so many practical skills that I could take straight back into the classroom. And then most recently, I completed a PhD with an emphasis in literacy at the University of Cincinnati. And it took me 8 years to do that program. So I like to really encourage people by telling them not to give up because it took me 8 years to get that PhD, but I finally did achieve that goal. So, my teaching license is an Ohio teaching license, and I have credentials in early childhood, grades preschool through grade 3. I also have the reading endorsement, so I'm qualified to be a reading specialist in grades K through 12. And I am one course away from completing my gifted endorsement, which also covers grades K through 12. And I've already passed the state exam. I just need to finish that final 3 credit hour course. So I am certified currently in these 3 areas. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about my teaching experience. My very first teaching job was in the West Claremont Local School District, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. And in my first position, I taught third grade. And that was a really great experience. I had a wonderful mentor at that time and a great teaching team, and I learned so much during my time there. And we did differentiated instruction at that time, and so I had the chance to also team teach once a week with the gifted intervention specialist while I was working with grade 3, and I really learned a lot from that experience. So after I taught a couple of years in third grade, I transitioned to grade 1, and that was kind of moving to the other end of the spectrum. While I was teaching first grade, I team taught with the title reading specialist, and she was in my room for half the day, and we really had a great partnership. And I learned a lot about what it means to work with struggling readers and to encourage them and to help them grow. And so while I was at West Claremont, third grade teacher, and then I was a first grade teacher. It was during this time that I started adjuncting some courses for Cincinnati Christian University, and eventually I transitioned into teaching in their teacher ed program. I spent a long time at CCU, and I kind of moved up through different levels of leadership there and was eventually overseeing the education department. And I felt like I just really invested myself into my students in that program. And so many of my grads are out doing amazing things. And so that was such a special time for me in my career. Most recently, I took time away from school and took a sabbatical and moved my family to Pristina, Kosovo, which is in Eastern Europe. And while I was there, I worked with an American affiliated school, and I was their first grade teacher for the first half of the school year. And this was such a wonderful experience for me because it kind of grounded me back in what it feels like to be in the classroom, and I am I do love to teach reading, but I just love teaching kids how to write and how to become writers. And so this was a great time for me to be back in the classroom and of course get some international teaching experience, which I so valued. And then now I am at Shawnee State University, just getting started, but I'm really looking forward to getting to know my students and continuing that passion that I have of training teachers and helping them, just go out there and be amazing educators. Here's a little bit about my family. So here's a picture of my family from a recent vacation. This is my husband, Derek, and Derek is a public school teacher. He is right now a fourth grade math teacher for Batavia Local Schools, and he has been a teacher there for several years. I really like that. I can have a constant conversation with him about what's happening in education and kind of staying current about what's happening in public ed. So these are my kids. I have two boys. Dexter's my oldest, and then I have Xander, and then my two girls. So I have Lucy, and then our youngest one there is named Ellie. And of course, we're a busy family, as you can expect, and they all have varied interest. And if you take multiple courses from me, you'll hear a lot about them, I'm sure. All right, so here's a little bit about me that's not related to school and my career. Um, I love learning how to cook and broaden my culinary skills, and I actually have a cooking blog that I started after I finished my PhD. And so this is just a picture I snagged from a recent Thanksgiving meal that we had together. I enjoy running. And I've run a couple of half marathons, and this is one that I did with my oldest son Dexter a couple of years ago. And that is always a challenging but very rewarding experience. My family loves to be outdoors, which leads to my next hobby, and that is hiking. So we spend a lot of time out on the trail, and we love finding new trails. This one is one of our most favorite trails in southern Ohio called Buzzard's Roost Rock, and we've done that one multiple times. But I love being outside and love being on the trail. And finally, I love to travel. So I have been lots of different places. This is a picture of me from a few years ago when I was in Paris, France, and at the Louvre there. Um, but I am always looking to broaden my passport. And I've also been multiple places in the US, and I just learned so much from traveling and seeing places and meeting people from all over the place. And so that is definitely an interest that I have. So there you go. That's just a short little introduction to me. I want to help you be successful while you pursue through my courses. So here's my email address, and don't hesitate to contact me anytime that you have a question or want to think through something else that you're working on. So thank you, and I look forward to getting to know you better also.